Hello everyone, in this video we are going to solve one more question related to frontend which can be asked in frontend interviews. Let's go to bigfrontend.dev website and we will go to practice section in the JavaScript coding question. And today we are going to solve a question related to the query, like how you can implement a basic query function. Let's go down, and the first question here is to implement query. So let's go into this question and let's see. Let's read this. So currying is a useful technique which is used in JavaScript applications. Please implement a curry function which will basically accept a function and return a curried one. Here is an example. Like we have this function which accepts 3 parameters and it returns us this string with all the parameters concatenated with the underscore. And we're using here curry function with this function which is there, and it will return us one wrapper function which we're using over here. So the first function which is called over here with the 3 parameters, as you can see, it will return us this 1_2_3. And similarly we are calling function here in different manner. Here also we are calling a function in a different manner, but the output we are getting same. So as you can see, by using curry, what you can do is you can basically call your function in nested levels. Like either you can call your function directly with all the parameters, or you can call your function like one by one. Like in the first you are passing one argument, and in the second you can pass the remaining argument. So basically that's what curry actually is. Like using curry you can call your functions with nested number of arguments. Okay, so that's what we have to implement in this video. So in the interview you can be asked to basically tell what exactly is curry and how you can implement a basic curry function in JavaScript. So let's start this question. So what we will do is, so as you know that it's going to return us one wrapper function, correct? So we can write a return function and it will accept some arguments, right? As you can see, this function is accepting arguments. So we will take that as triple dot and then args keyword. Now what we want to do is, like we have the first basic use case is like if user passes all the arguments which is equal to the number of arguments this function takes. So that's the first use case. Second use case is like user is passing less arguments, which is not acceptable in this function. Like because as you can see, this function accepts 3 parameters, but in this case user is only passing 1 argument. And similarly here in this case user is passing 2 arguments, but our function accepts 3 arguments. So the first basic use case is like user passes all the arguments which are equal to the function arguments, correct? So how you can get the function arguments? So we have this function over here. So you can get its argument by writing const args equal to fn dot length. Okay, so you can name this variable as, let's say, fn args. So using fn dot length you can get the arguments which this function accepts, this fn, this one. Okay, so now we will write if condition. So if the args dot length greater than equal to fn args, what we want to do is we will directly call the function with the arguments passed over here. So you can directly call it, right? So you can write fn dot apply this keyword and the args. Okay, so you can just simply return it. In the else part, what I want to do is I basically want to call this function again recursively. Okay, so let's give some name to it. So we can call it recursively. You can write it recursive curry. So let's return this recursive curry function again, but we want to call this function with the remaining arguments. So how we will do that? So what you can do is, for that you can simply write bind method and you can pass the arguments over here. So basically what this bind function will do is it will return you one more wrapper function which will have access to the older arguments. And now you can yeah, so that was all in the curry function which was required. So let's execute it and let's see whether it is working or not. So only one use case is working, the other use cases are not working. So basically we did some mistake over here. Let's check. I think bind function also accepts this keyword. Yeah, so that's why it was not working. So yeah, as you can see, our function is working. So this part was easy. The next part I think you might not have understand. So what we're doing over here is we are basically calling our function again, this recursive function, but we want to call this recursive function for the next set of arguments. So let's consider this use case. Like you passed the one over here, correct? But our function accepts 3 parameters. So we will go to this else condition, and we are basically binding this function with this parameter 1. Now next time you will be calling the function with these parameters, but you will also have access to this parameter because of this bind keyword which we have used. Okay, so basically this bind helps you to remember the old arguments. Okay, so that's why we have used it. So I hope you understood how to implement a basic curry function. So yeah, in this way you can implement a curry function in interview if you get this question in interview. So yeah, that was all from my side. Thank you guys.